Hello and welcome to the Dog Savant podcast. I am Brett Endies. I am the host. I am a professional dog trainer. The purpose of this podcast is to share my dog training experience with you if you are a dog owner, a client who would like to supplement the real world work that we are doing with some extra information, and if you're anyone who's just interested in learning more about your dog behavior, the life of a professional dog trainer, and anything that we talk about on this podcast, this is for you. I always ask, please don't forget to rate, review, share, subscribe. This podcast only gets found by others by you helping me. Share it online, share it on social media, and definitely subscribe on iTunes and anywhere else you may be listening to it. I'm also offering online training, and because of COVID-19 issue, being able to help you online has definitely been beneficial to both you and myself. So I am available, and you can contact me via my email, info@thedogsavant.com or dogtrainingla@gmail.com. And if you're in Colorado or Los Angeles, you can go on my website, gooddogcolorado.com or dogtrainingla.com. Any of those places will take you to wherever you need to know to contact me or any other information you'd like to learn about me, my world of dog training, and anything else I do or have done. Let's see. Oh, and on Patreon, I also have a Patreon page. It is patreon.com/thedogsavant, THEDOGSAVANT. I don't really have anyone advertising on this show at this point, and because I'm not able to see as many clients in the real world, anything online virtually, whether it be one-on-one sessions, Patreon, anything like that really helps me. So anyway, you can support really will only allow me to put out more content and help me survive through these difficult times. Also, another announcement, let's just keep going here. I have a virtual group training class and pack walk this Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time on Zoom. So if you're interested in that, also please contact me at my email or online social media at the Dog Savant. Usually Instagram is the place to get me. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? It's episode 85. And if you do notice, there's a background. I'm actually going to try to make a video version of this. I'm not fully done with my little obligatory little knickknacks and tchotchkes and all my little accolade things in the background there. But nonetheless, it's going to look more like this. I think I'm going to get a microphone, a little bit more of a better camera setup, but I figured I'd just start kind of grassrooting it here with an iPhone and me. All right, so it may be like this more for now. I think I'm going to post the videos on like social media too, in addition to the audio and on YouTube. That I always have a YouTube version. You guys should go on YouTube. I have other videos for years I've been posting. Some get a lot of views, some get barely any. But I have a lot of good dog training information, just me showing some of the things that I've talked about on the podcast as concepts are shown in these YouTube videos. I don't do as many, but I will be doing more because we also have an online training course we're about to start filming next week as well. So stay tuned for that. That'll be on Teachable, and there'll be links to that, and I'll talk more about it as it develops here on the podcast. All right, that's a lot to cover. So we're going to talk today about separation anxiety. This is one of many podcasts on the subject. I see many cases with this issue. I find that a lot of modalities of training don't address the root cause of it, and sometimes it is just a completely misunderstood behavior, where it comes from, how it develops, and of course how to address it, to resolve it, to help these poor dogs who are suffering with this, because it's a pretty big issue. These cases can get severe. I've told the story about the client's dog I had years ago back in New York who had such severe separation anxiety he was willing to crash through a second floor window. Luckily it did not drop down because it was a landing, and it stayed on the landing until the owners came home. But I've seen dogs chew doorknobs, chew through walls, hurt themselves, destroy items. I mean, really lose consciousness on a life or death level, that we have to address this pretty seriously. It's not just get them used to being alone more. That's really not how you address this, nor how it starts. It's really more of a dog that when you're there, it becomes this agenda that manifests. They're too clingy. They're too caught up in what's next, what's next. I always do that. They're always waiting for the next shoe to fall. They're hinging and reacting to and accomplishing to the transitions and movement and everyday routines that the owners are creating around them, if that makes sense. And it's just too much of it, and then when the owners are nowhere to be found, they don't think their needs are going to get met, and they get desperate until you return, and they think that cycle's how things are supposed to go. It's like humans. I always said, even in my own self, I could do better without the anxiety that I hold on to, but sometimes it's just the way that you cope. easier for dogs because they're animals and their minds are more basic and they're able to feel more provided for if we give them structure, security, and leadership. Certain dogs have higher requirements for that they need, right? So let's see. So well, that's where it comes from, right? It's a dog that's hyper vigilant, too much of that accomplishment, and now that you're not there, there's no one to cling to. And we like some of these things, or we're just busy. We're not aware that our dogs are just there. And sometimes it is okay, but it has to be more of a casual version of it. So usually if your dog has extreme separation anxiety, or you have a puppy that is developing this, you want to create some order, structure. I always talk about place training. I think a couple episodes ago I did one about it again. It's really the best way as the antidote to the dogs with these agendas I'm describing, where they're always clinging. So if the dog wants to follow you to another room, teach him to stay put in another. And it's going to be a lot of back and forth. And using a crate to complement the place training, where their movement is more metered and structured and focused and led through life, and they get their exercise at certain times. So you don't have to feel bad, oh, the dog's just staying in the bed or in the crate more. This is temporary, and you complement it with the right amount of exercise and walks and structure in those areas too, so the dog can just be more at peace physically and mentally, more relaxed, which carries over to now some of the things that a lot of people do try to do. So yes, you do. It is helpful to use a crate or a smaller space where the dog has less areas to scan or just brew that anxiety, because they have to settle into and accept the crate. It doesn't mean start right away. You have to get a dog used to a crate if that's not part of their life. That's why I have puppies who we start basic training, get right into crate training and place training, so that just, even if the potential wasn't there, it just offsets it, gets them at peace with being in a space with their own thoughts and their own time, safe and secure. And if you don't have that in your dog that has separation anxiety, you got to work on it. You've got to build this up a bit more to the point where the dog sees the crate as a place where it's calm and they get their needs met, not something against their agenda. I keep going back to it in my describing. So you have to do that too, and then just feed the dog in the crate, get the dog used to the sleeping in the crate, spending an hour or two in the crate with you in the same rooms, and then separating sometimes and adding the training when they're not in the crate. It takes some time. It can take a few months to work through it, but right away you can give the dog that ability to let go a little, have that, okay, somebody else can dictate the flow of life and not be on that what's next kind of thinking. And most dogs are very happy. It just has to come from the people usually who would have the hardest time implementing it due to their emotional state, enjoying things that the dogs are doing that are contributing to the anxiety, or they're just too busy and it's hard for them to connect and put the time in and the consistency and follow through if the dog doesn't, do what's asked, and tune it out when the dog is resisting a little bit, because a lot of dogs do have their tantrums when they're first being told what to do and they're not used to it, and they think that their agenda runs the show, even though deep down it creates that anxiety that they're happier in the long run without having to hold on to. Right. Let's see. I have some notes here, so let's see where we're at. Got the root cause, gave you some solutions, and just general leadership. Make sure your dog does get the right amount of exercise, nutrition, rule out any kind of imbalance in their blood levels. Everything should be, you got to be very holistic. That's why, I like to cover everything so we know what we're dealing with if plan A isn't going as we want. It does in most cases, but there is ways to evolve and troubleshoot. But if you don't even know what we haven't even addressed, maybe the dog has an overactive thyroid, underactive thyroid. These things all have to be taken into account. All right, so I hope that's just keep all my separation anxiety things, and there's plenty of other great trainers, more balanced trainers who understand where this comes from. They have the experience working with owners to give the proper instruction and use the right training tools to help with this, not just medicate the dog or pretend it's not there or coddle the problems away, because that will never work. That's why we all end up with retrains, more experienced trainers who address issues. And you'll be good to go. It's not just me. Use everything you can, bits and pieces, and find a local good quality trainer. And remember, I have online classes available as well. All right, so I have a question from somebody who would like to get some help with their dog. My dog is aggressive only with people who come to the house to do work. If it's a friend or family member, he is fine. But when even somebody who comes regularly that they should know by now, they can sense that they're there to do something and he doesn't like it. What do I do? All right, so, that's really what the place training would be good for, the structure, even okay, just logistically, somebody's on their way over, they're here to do the work. Let's have our dog in command, focused. When we see them pull up or they come to the door, ring the bell, we lead them to the door. We create structure in this transitional time, this social interaction, and then we continue it. So if the worker's there in the yard or in the house, put the place bed within proximity and have them deal with it. Have the dog learn that there is an offset for usually these dogs, they bark, they back away, they're rarely aggressive. They just overreact or they avoid it, and you got to make them face the music. A dog, like I said before, separation anxiety is going to kick and scream a little bit, but once they learn that they're not going to die, once they calm down, you can have the person give them treats. Don't have the person even try to give them treats when they're reacting. Most dogs will never take a treat when they're in that state, and second, if they do, you're rewarding that overreactive negative reaction response to the person. So get calm, get control, be preventative, preemptive, and then the reward would be something to kind of seal the deal, right? That's where reward training is helpful. Teaching or complementing something that you've addressed more directly to build up a dog's ability to tolerate real life. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Thank you. And that was from Mary Q. Okay, Q for question. All right, so again, don't forget to rate, review, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. If you need training, I have online training available. Contact me at my email, dogtrainingla@gmail.com. And any questions, I love answering them on the podcast and otherwise, so send them to me as well. Thanks again. This has been episode 85. First one live in a while, so I hope I did good. Thanks again. Have a great day.